Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I am so excited. We have another round of harnessing our emotional intelligence for youth leaders in the youth development field. And I'm really excited to have you. I did my dissertation in 2021, and it was focused on emotional intelligence and workplace stress. So, what's the correlation? So, the correlation basically is saying that leaders that have high emotional intelligence will perceive their workplace stress lower. Leaders that have low emotional intelligence will perceive their workplace stress high. So basically, we're saying that our perception of what workplace stress is really comes from how we're handling it, how grounded we are, how we are able to be self-aware of ourselves and self-manage ourselves in order to continue to lead. Doesn't mean that workplace stress is going to go away. One of the things that we are really clear about, especially in this challenging time, is that stress is here. Challenges are here. The work that we do is constantly going to let us know that there's another challenge that we have in front of us that we have to definitely figure out. And the best way for us to figure it out is that if we have a clear mind, a centered of our self-awareness, and our center of our self-management in order for us to work with the population that we're here to serve. So I could talk a little bit more about emotional intelligence because I found it in the last few years that this is definitely a very important element of how we're going to overcome whatever is showing up in this world today. I was thinking earlier that even when you least think that the pressure is on, you feel this darkness and it comes out of nowhere. I was feeling that earlier this week, and I was feeling like I just had this heaviness about the work that I did. I wasn't sure if this work is necessary or it's even going to be paid attention to because we have so many problems that we are challenged with. Our resources are being threatened. Our young people, families, I'm sorry, I get really empathic about what's happening in this world today. And I don't believe that we're actually having these challenges. So we who are leaders, um, committed to making a difference in our communities, we need to fill our cup. We need to make sure that our cup is filled in order for us to be able to give to others. When our cup is not filled, we give to others, but we may give it to them not 100%, a little snippy, unfocused, not listening, unempathetic, maybe a sense of reactive mode. I know that when we're not 100%, we don't think clearly. We're not able to actually create a sense of vision of how we're going to get from point A to point B because we're so engaged in the problem. So during this time, we need to find ways to support each other. And this is one reason why I'm having these series on LinkedIn to speak to our leadership and youth development and even social services in the same area. As long as you are serving other people and you're leading them, we need you 100% here. So here we have Yubleni. Yubleni, I am so excited to have you here. We met a year ago in Boost, remember? And we took a training together, and then I invited you to be on my blog, on my podcast. Remember that? It was such an amazing experience. We sat there with someone else and you and me, and we talked about emotional intelligence in a room full of hundreds of people. But let me tell you, Blenny, you are an amazing reading your bio. I'm like, okay, let me remember all of this. So first of all, you are a program manager for expanded learning in the Fontana Unified School District in San Bernardino County. I said that right, right?
Yes.
And in Southern California. And you've been there for 19 years.
With the District 19, yes.
And District 19, yes. So the first 12 years you were classified human resource. And
Mhm.
now in the last 7 years, you've been in this position as program manager and you oversee over 42 sites. Wow, that's a lot. So now I'm understanding the more that I'm getting to talk to you. So I understand that you've been classified. In other words, that you are a professional in communication, team management, restorative justice. That's awesome. And you've been getting a few awards. And I'm going to try to run them down because they're amazing. So you've been awarded for your contribution and recognized in your work for Innovative Leadership Award in Region 10, right? In the California for the California Department of Education. You've been awarded for the Expanded Learning Champion Award by the San Bernardino's County Superintendent of Schools. Congratulations. It sounds really good. I'm loving all of the acknowledgement. And then a Community Partner Award by the California State Assembly for her work with the Big Brother, Big Sister program in Empire?
Yes,
Inland
that's
Empire.
the region. Hmm.
And most recently, the Classified Leader Award of the Year. Wait. Classified Leader of the Year by Region 12 by the Association of California School Administration. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And let's take a deep breath because one of the first things that I want to talk about, and I've been saying, is like we need to really be with our accomplishments and just be with it, right? So it's not just a pass by. It's not, oh yeah, just another award. It's like you've been recognized for your leadership. And I want to like take it in. Go ahead, let me see you breathe. Let me see you take it in.
A little, yeah, it's a little overwhelming. I'm not sure if it's the expectations or maybe self-doubt. Like, is this like it does it? I don't want awards to have to validate me,
Mm-mm.
but
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 you got it.
it is flattering. It is flattering that there are others that recognize the work, but then I also acknowledge all the hands that go into the work and all
Yeah,
the people involved in that work. So it's flattering.
yeah, yeah. And it's, it's okay to acknowledge your capacity. It's okay to acknowledge your ability to make a difference with so many people, to even be in the space where your name is mentioned and saying, yeah, this is someone who's worth acknowledging.
Mm,
And the reason I bring this up is because that, as leaders, is the one place that we don't pay a lot of attention to our accomplishments, right? Because we're used to, and I'm guilty, we put a lot of attention in our mind and in our hearts around what we're not doing right.
mm,
What could we do better? Oh, I need to grow on this. Oh, I should have done that better. We could really think about that, but we don't think about the accomplishment and how does that feel? And when I do
true.
my work, I want us to start there. How does it feel to be acknowledged as a leader of the year?
So that one is a little different because I think that in education there are being generalizations about what classified and the roles of a classified employees versus the roles of certificated employees. And sometimes and classified employees are always support staff.
Mhm.
So and opportunities, and at least in my perception, the way I perceive it, and the way my own personal observations. Certificated, there's a lot more opportunities for certificated employees than there are for classified. I think there's more value that's placed within the education system,
Mhm,
obviously for certificated employees. And I do appreciate it, right? I
mhm,
appreciate teachers, I appreciate, you know, definitely principals. I do appreciate it. But I think sometimes classified employees work in the shadows a little bit.
mhm,
So I think this one is a little different because it's from other administrators
mhm.
that I think that are seeing value
Yes.
in the work that I've really put a lot of work into.
There you go.
I've
Now
put
we're
a
getting
lot of
to
work
the
into it, and it's been some days what have been very long.
I'm feeling you, girl.
So I think that's why
Mhm,
it's different because I think is it, and then even then when I was first notified,
mhm.
I questioned it.
Yeah,
And I thought, is this really like true? Is it? Are they doing that because they need somebody that's within expanded learning?
yeah. So you dismiss your capacity, your worthiness by saying, "Oh, they could just give it to anyone. Do they just need to choose somebody?"
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
It sounds bad, but in my head,
Yeah.
that was part of my internal conversation.
Mhm. And when I was speaking about emotional intelligence earlier with the self-awareness, is just being aware that you're speaking to yourself this way.
Yeah,
That's not true though. You
right.
get me saying that's not the truth. The truth is you
Right.
are a valuable employee and you being recognized for the work and the
Mm,
value that you have put in your community, but people are seeing it, but you're having a hard time seeing it and owning it.
that's true.
And in emotional intelligence, this is where the work goes.
Hmm.
And it's there's I know I'm it may be cultural, but I'm Latina, and I know that we were brought up in not being too cocky or not being too like, look at me, because that's, we got, and especially also as a woman in I'm speaking in our culture, is like we have to stand behind. We have to be next to. We're not the ones that are in the front.
Mm,
And also, how dare you? There's a conversation, how dare you, stand up and show yourself. And I know I'm struggling with that. I I I,
mm.
I I feel it as I talk about it. I struggle with that. How dare I think that I'm gonna step up and be a leader in this or recognize myself as that. So if I don't do it, then I'm in my place.
Yeah, I do think that there is a difference when the way that we approach things and the way that it's received when I mean, that is the reality of it between a man and a woman. I do see that. Um, and I mean, I do see it. And then the style, the way that I communicate is different because I want to make sure that I'm communicated without, I'm always I'm always try to be conscientious. Do I sound rude? Do I sound offensive? When I'm really just being direct,
Yeah.
and that's all it is. But But there is a difference, yes. And I do see it.
Yeah. And I thank you for being present here in this conversation and being vulnerable as we have this conversation, right? Because the part of the work is we recognize what's happening in our heads and how we show up in the world
Yeah.
because of what's happening in our head, in our minds and our thoughts, right? So then we get to do some self-management, right? Why should we hold this? Why should we hold ourselves down? What is it going to take for us to relieve this and just accept me for who I am? Like, yeah, I've done mistakes, but why can't I be a brilliant?
Yeah, and I remember thinking that
Yeah.
because I thought, well, 95% of my work is error free, but 5% is not, and that's what triggers,
Yes.
some colleagues or leaders
Yeah.
to say, well, why did you do that? You screwed that up.
Yeah.
But it's like, wait a minute, it's still an A. I
Yeah.
still an
Yeah.
A. It's still 90, 95%.
Right. But we are we beat ourselves up for that 5% really hard because we're
Yeah,
not perfect.
that's true. I Yeah, there were sometimes I'm asked for certain data that like on the spot.
Mhm.
And as much as I try to remember all the details, sometimes I'm estimating more than an exact number because I just pulled a report. But
Wow.
those have been challenging too because if I'm off by one or two and then later I say, well, no, it was actually this,
Yeah.
then that's an issue. Well, I already gave this information
Mhm.
based on what you told me. And now
I gotta go and change it.
I have to go and change it, or then it just becomes then me myself am not as trustworthy
Mhm.
because I was one off.
Yeah. And it's really on how we perceive it, right? Because I was just thinking about like the voting. They always say with 1% room for error. It's like I'm giving you this report and I'm going to say a 5% room for error because
Yeah.
who is perfect? Who is going to get it all right all the time? Nobody.
So
You,
I think I'm gonna have to use that every time I'm asked for data. I'm like, oh, have room for error. There's room for error, 1%. What I've prefaced it with now is this is what I'm estimating,
hmm
but let me give me a moment to look for the exact answer.
Right.
Or because in the beginning when that was occurring, I was very upset about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, they're not gonna trust me. They're
Mhm.
not I was already struggling with in the position the position that I had because the position was growing, more responsibility, more greater scope of work and responsibility. So I was already submitting like documents to change and reclassify the position.
Yes.
And for me, it was okay, think of it as a department. What would the department need in the future if I'm not there? If I'm not there, then what does the department need in the future so that they can bring in somebody who is qualified, somebody who is knowledgeable in the work that we've done and the progress we've made doesn't doesn't fall apart because there's a new person and it
Yeah.
can continue. So I was already working on that. I worked on that for years.
And I want to interrupt a little bit here because what I'm hearing is that you already had created data and evidence that because of the scope of work that you needed to do, and in order to expand and scale, right, and even continue the quality of work, there was something that was missing, and you had declared it. That's a valuable employee. That's a valuable leader. That's a leader that really is looking for the main thing, which is the quality, the service. I just want to acknowledge that. Not everybody thinks
Yeah.
in this capacity. And the other part too is that, you know, one, when you're saying, I've been doing this for years, is that people have been paying attention to how you operate and how you're thinking around the quality of your program. I just wanted to stop there and make that acknowledgement. I'm sorry. It's
No,
something I'm always pushing for, and always teaching others the value of data, and recognizing vision versus quality versus, are you actually moving in the right direction? And you said it. If you remove yourself, this is what may happen. So tell us what happened next.
well, I really wanted to leave to have the position reflect the work and the responsibility that was being done.
Nice.
And so that if I left, then that the requirements for that work and the responsibility that it grew into, that it would recruit somebody that can sustain that
Yeah.
and grow it still. There's always room for growth, there's always room for improvement. So I was already working on that. So if I made a mistake, I took it very personally
Mm-hmm.
because I thought that is that then it'll show that I'm not the standard that I'm saying this position is for
Mm-hmm.
the department, and I'm not fulfilling the role that I'm saying that it is.
Right.
And initially it was rejected.
Okay.
The first time I submitted everything, it was rejected. And like I said, I was trying that for a few years. And then I think as it continued to grow in California, we have ELOP, Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. It's a state funding
Yes.
that just has made expanded learning programs explode. Like
Yeah.
really, they've just grown and exploded. And so I think that combined with, continuously taking on more responsibility, like I said, some there's been a lot of long days
Mm.
because for me it was there's this opportunity that we have to bring amazing things to students.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be the barrier because we don't have enough staffing,
Yes.
because I'm feeling overwhelmed,
Mhm.
because my request for that change was rejected,
Yeah.
and now I'm mad. I mean, basically, such a rudimentary word to use, but that is basically what I was.
Yeah.
I said, and no, the kids deserve more than that. So if the adults can't operate, that shouldn't stop this funding from creating fantastic opportunities. So I said, that's what it'll be. Like if I so that's where the long days came in
Right.
because I didn't want to be the barrier.
Right. Oh my God. I am feeling you so much right now. And I think there's many of us out there that is listening to this right now could really relate to what you just shared. This is hugely powerful because these are the challenges that are real. And, the staff turnover or the staff development or the quality of program, which is what you're talking about, is critical. And all of those elements, if they're not working right, you're not going to get quality program.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me it was okay, we don't have enough staff, so who do I reach out to? What
Mhm.
resources do I have that are available that I can leverage for the program? So
Mhm.
I started working with other departments. I started working more with principals. I started exploring the idea of teachers being part of ELOP, which
Yeah.
was not part of it before.
Okay.
Because if we don't have enough staff, then how we have the funding to pay them.
Right.
So how do we leverage those resources to start bringing these opportunities? And I think that those things, and they just kind of came together, and then the change in my position was approved. But
Okay.
but that's the thing, is that sometimes I think, well, I've seen it because I was in HR, and
Hmm.
I've experienced it because I was in HR. But I've seen it where somebody says, "Well, I'm not going to do that extra work because that is above my pay grade." I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
"I'm not going to do that extra work because I'm not getting paid for it. The extra position, they haven't changed my position, so I'm just not going to do it."
Mm.
But the thing is that if we don't, then there's nothing to justify the change. So
Yeah.
it is a catch. What is it? A
It's
catch
catch 22.
22. That one really is,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're not getting the
If
extra
it's
paperwork.
happening, but it's your extra work, then there's no reason for me to make a change because
Right,
it's working.
right.
But
So
here are you
that's
exhausted.
yeah. So there were times that I said I'm drowning, but I'm only up to my forehead. So but so I think I can go a little bit more.
If I lift my head up, I can
Yes, I
breathe
I
through
can
my
breathe.
nose.
I just have to shift
Yeah.
my angle. But it is, so that's what I had to do, is I had to go through that first,
Yeah.
and then to say, "No, it is justified.
Yes.
No, we should change it." And then it was approved. I am really thankful for the leaders that saw that,
Yes.
because if, there has to be key people that agree, especially
Mhm.
within the school district and educational system. So I am very grateful for them.
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you. That's power. Tell me what happened next.
Yeah. So in that advocacy, there was for 7 years I've been working in this department, and I've been, when I first started in this department, I didn't realize, because again, like, the job description did not align with what the responsibilities were and the expectations were. It was outdated, like a lot of them are.
Mhm.
So I came in thinking, okay, I'm going to, in my head, I thought, well, this is what the job description says. I'll be in the office, I'll be working on paperwork, I'll be supporting this. And it wasn't. It was, you're the lead for the program. You're the lead for these contracts. You're the lead for these things. You're the point person when administrators are calling, when there's a problem. You're the point person. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, that is not what the just job description said. So I accepted it because, I mean, honestly, I had a very good boss.
Nice.
that would just walked me through it and said, "You can handle this. You can do this.
Oh,
This is what, and let me show you how to approach these type of situations."
and
So
I can interject here a little bit, how important it is for you to know that you could lean on your supervisor and they give you the resources that you need in order to, because you're expanding, right? So
yeah,
in your expanding, it hurts. And that's what happens when we with our subordinates, we give them more accountability and we don't realize that the expansion is hurt. It's is hurt, like it hurts your body because I've never done this before. And you're asking me to do something I've never done before. And it's scary. And you went right through it, but you had support. You had support. And I just that's part of the kind of culture we're looking at being mindful about, being intentional about, that we as leaders are supporting and you have the support you need. Okay, go back. Continue.
yeah. So he started sending me to trainings, and he said, "Go here," and I did have previous positions where they were very toxic environments, and I reacted because I was always used to defending myself. You grow up. I hate saying it this way, but when you grow up in the hood, you're like, you're ready to fight.
Back.
but I but so
Yeah.
I took time off. I left early whenever I could. Instead of just going and grabbing that prescription, I would just leave for the day. Because I'm like, I really didn't care. I became like the typical disengaged employee, that I doing minimal work, doing as little as possible, and trying to not be there. So I exhausted my vacation time, my sick time, every fiscal year, every school year. I exhausted it all, even though before that I didn't.
Right.
So then he would tell me this, the new boss, once I started in this position, he would say, you have to address it. You have to look at why that was so difficult for you. And I would tell him, I said, no, I want to sweep it under the rug and everybody's happy that way. I said, I'm functioning fine. I'm totally fine.
Oh, yeah, that denial.
But then fast forward, and so then fast forward, my position has changed. But with that advocacy,
Yes.
the district also created a new position, my new supervisor, because there was more responsibility. They saw it. And
So
I,
you spotted the problem. Am I right?
yes,
Spotted the problem and you gave a solution.
yes. And in a way,
They solved it.
they did. So my position changed, and then they added another layer and a supervisor for me. So I was upset about it because I went into the position thinking that I wasn't not the lead, and then I became the lead, and then I'm owning it, and then they say, "No, you're not the lead." And like, but all this time I've been working and taking responsibility for it, and it's almost as if it just got pulled out from under me. So for me, yeah, that took me back just to that self-doubt, the self-doubt, and thinking, was I not doing enough? Is it because 5% of the time I was wrong?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, is it because I'm a classified employee?
I know that there's many people that are feeling what you're feeling right now. You're bringing me back to stuff. It's like, how do we beat ourselves up? We, it's automatically our mishaps that we come up with in our heads. That's what fills our heads is what
Yeah.
we do wrong.
Yeah. So I struggled with that for months, for several months when I initially was notified that the position was being created, and then I watched the board meeting and it was approved. So that was hard for me. And then being on the interview panel. I'm like,
You were
that was,
interviewing for the position, the
yeah,
super,
yeah,
Mhm. That's going to supervise you.
yes. And I thought it, and I wanted to react in the same way that I previously had reacted, because
Right.
it wasn't, because I felt in my mind it's not fair. Like I'm 95% of the time, so this is first I'm beating myself up for the 5%, and then I'm saying 95% of the time I was doing well, I thought. And I was very upset about it. But now I was being careful who I vented with. So it was no one at work. I came home and my poor husband heard a lot. And it was more, and it was really just at that point, it was more venting because there wasn't anything I can do about it. I can't change it. And then trying to see, well, how will this benefit us as a department? So now going back to saying, wait, if I care about the department as a whole, as the program as a whole, then then I need to change the way I'm acting. And I cannot let my own, like, insecurities, doubts make me behave really the way I behave at work and how I interact with other people.
Yeah.
So then it was just having to change my perception. I needed to change my perception.
I feel the difficultness of how this was for you. And this is what we call resilient. The resilient leader knows that it's about how they perceive the challenge. And then, so how do you perceive it now? Like, in order for you not to be that disgruntled um, staff that now is going to, like you say, call out or not be present or be sharp to other people, what's happening now?
So I really took time just to see what the advantages were. I took time for myself so that I can heal. I mean, obviously it's not 100% because
You're still working on it.
I am, and it's not something that's hurtful now. It really isn't. But just reflecting and thinking about it. I mean, obviously it's not 100%, but
We're a work in progress.
yeah, definitely. But then my approach has been different. It's been okay within my role. I can still be a leader in the scope of my work. I can still promote and advocate for good programs that will have an impact. And honestly, the new person has been such a such a like a blessing for our department. And then and sharing the same vision and sharing the same goals, and because it is about, we really do try to be student centered. And it's not just like a key phrase, a catchphrase that we use. We really do try. And what does that look like in real life? What does that look like day to day when we make decisions to say, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about what we can do to create these great opportunities for them, for students, for employees, so that the employees have a good working work environment, so that they're excited to come to work because they can also be creative. They could also feel supported. So then, yeah, and as tough as that was, I had to really reflect to say, okay, I have to change my attitude. I have to see things differently. I have to I have to not really suppress those emotions, but overcome them,
Yeah.
and and realize that it was not a personal attack.
Yeah.
It was not because I was deficient.
Mhm.
So I had to get through that in my head. In my head. That's what I had to get through that. And to make sure that I wasn't behaving in a way that was really negligent. I would consider that negligent now for myself.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud that you not only have the courage to tell the story, but to also see yourself in it, right? Like what are you up to, right? Your purpose, your calling, what are you up to? So you see that, you know that. And when your behavior is not in alignment with your purpose and your calling, it takes a lot of courage to shift your perspective. And yeah, we could all like, that's not fair.
Yeah,
But is not fair going to get the kids the quality and the opportunities that you speak about? And
right.
and in shifting, which what we called self-awareness is what you did first, and then self-management is now different perspective. Now the relationship with your supervisor is critical, and you see the opportunity that you have with him, and you see the opportunity what you created, which I want to really get back to. I don't know if you see this, but you design this opportunity for our kids to get better resources and better program. It just didn't look the way you thought it was going to look.
That's exactly right. That's right. It's yeah, um, and that's another thing is yeah, I got to put my pride aside because there are other experts that have very good opinions and that have strong experience
Yeah,
in the way in how things should be structured.
yeah. And the other piece that I see is that you were out there solo doing beyond and beyond the work description as to make it as good as possible. And now you have a team.
Yeah. And that part has been so helpful and has been so
Yes.
like it's improved and it's become better and it's become more. And now because of that, we're able to grow it even more because there's even more opportunities. Yeah.
I I have to tell you that taking on this initiative of harnessing our emotional intelligence as leaders, it's something that I feel it in my bones, but I question myself, like, how dare I have this conversation? And even question, do I even have the credibility to do that? Like, I could talk
Mm.
about my doctorate, I still don't feel it. I still have like that, like what you're saying, that 5% questioning, doubting. Sitting here with you, having this conversation is pure evidence to me that it's so important that we keep having this conversation so we could learn how we as leaders need to do the work for ourselves. We need to keep building ourselves. It takes a lot of work for you to get up every morning and get that confidence and that courage to go back in. And no matter what, it's not about your ego, it's about doing the work, doing the work that we're up to, which is serving our children and our families at the top quality. And I see that in you, and I'm just so honored. I mean, the lessons here from being self-aware, being with the emotion.
Mm.
Let's we're not saying don't have the emotion. We're saying actually have the emotion. You gotta feel it in order to say this is what's happening with me and get to the source of it. Get to the source of this emotion. And I know that this situation for you, it's not that this is the first time you felt this emotion. This was a trigger that had this emotion come back up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is so the supervisor when I first started here is what he told me. He said, one day something's going to happen and you'll get so emotional and you're going to think, why am I reacting this way? When logically it's not, it makes sense.
Mhm.
So why am I reacting this way? And again, I thought that's not true. That's not me. I've been so used to putting up a wall, right? And I mean, that's a defense mechanism too.
Yeah.
Like you put up a wall and it's safe and you're comfortable. Um,
Yeah. And like what you said, putting it under the rug. That don't bother me. Put it under the rug. That don't bother me. And then
yeah,
boom, all of a sudden you're full of emotion, but it doesn't have anything to do with anything around you except you.
yeah,
Like you just going through this process of this emotion is like I needed to feel this so I could see my true self, right? So,
yeah.
we started with your accomplishments. And like I said, when I was reading your bio, I was I was like, wow. Not like you've been recognized multiple times. You sweep it under the rug. Oh, it's another award. But I want you to I want you to practice acknowledging yourself for the 19 years that you have done for this community.
Mm,
Your tenacity and your resilience wouldn't have bring you to this place right now if you
mm.
were not determined to make a difference for this community.
That's true. I hadn't seen it that way. Thank you.
I can't wait to give you a hug. And I will when I see you next week at Booth's. Shout out to Booth Conference. If you haven't registered yet, you better get there because this is
Yeah.
definitely a place to be for community. And, that's how I met you last year. And
Mm,
I am so honored to have you as part of my community, part of my, my circle, because I've learned so much from you today in this conversation. And
thank
and
you.
the strength, the courage that it takes for you to be able to unfold this live is not is your contribution to the field. And it's clear to me that your leadership is really well acknowledged, even with the staff that I met last year, that
Mm,
that that you serve, right? That you supervise, they know that. They see that. And when I've experienced today, um, it just reminds me of that there are some really damn good people out there doing the real work, and you are one of them.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're
it's it really is an honor because I've met some very, very good leaders that I've had the privilege of learning from, really, but I did have to put my pride aside to say I can learn from them and I want to learn from them. And it's okay that they are strong leaders and I'm not there and I'm not there yet. But I can work on it. And I can use their examples to help me learn.
Mhm. But it's
I've
interesting how we
appreciated that.
always see other people stronger than us. But let's not get it confused. People that perceive themselves strong and confident, they worked at it.
Yeah.
They also worked at it to be there. If this is somebody that you admire, I'm talking about people that you admire, not the cocky ones, not the ones that know it all. I'm not talking about those. You could have all the titles you want, but if you don't have the connection with the people, if you don't
Mhm.
have the empathy and the acknowledgement of really how to support others and focus on your what you're there for and know how to shift, you don't become a guide for other people. You're just for me, I've ran into many supervisors that I say I know what not to do,
Mm. Yeah. I've
right?
seen those too, for sure.
Exactly. But if you're one of those people that people look up and say, no, you're my guide. I watch you. I watch how you navigate. Relationship management is part of emotional intelligence. And you can't get to effective relationship management unless you know how to manage yourself,
Hmm.
right? So and have those elements in place and say, look, I'm aware that I'm doing this and I'm aware I see my behavior is not going. I need to manage this and shift. And the other part too is the social awareness is the people around you is who you're really taking care of. You're taking care of your staff and your students. So then that has you remove yourself from the oh my oh me and it's like nope, this is about my staff and my students and being able to work with your supervisor in an effective way where you actually see the difference. Girl, talk about being a visionary.
Yeah, thank you. I
This is
get, yeah.
so amazing. I am so happy to have this conversation with you. One more thing before we leave, though. What would be one thing that you would advise any aspiring leader?
Yeah, so I know that as expanded learning programs, and I think this is true, like at Boost, I've met people from different states, different countries, and
Mhm.
they all seem to me and how they speak and how they carry themselves. They were in expanded learning, we're very, very good at relationships with parents and
Mhm.
with students. I would say, as an aspiring leader, as someone who is looking to have like a leadership role,
Mhm.
of how important it is to establish those relationships also up, like with your administrators, with the school principals,
Mhm.
with directors, and not be intimidated by them, because I see that too. I
Yeah.
see it's young staff and they're intimidated to speak to a professional administrator who has years of experience in education. They have a doctorate. You're intimidating. But for them to know how to be respectful, how to listen to them, how to acknowledge what the needs of what they're seeing for their school, because I've seen that too. There's needs for the school, the principal knows them, acknowledge it, support it, work with it,
Yes.
and help to be a team, a partner in
Yes.
the work with a management team that is trying also to make an impact and to improve things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think something very powerful, even in your in us going through this process together. What you did was you made an assessment of, of the capacity, and you were able to be honest about really what was going on, right? And you wouldn't have, if you weren't honest, you wouldn't have created a report of data to report to, to your supervisors. And that is critical. I want to, you brought it up right now, is like, if you're in school, be part of the solution for the whole community.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just you individually doing your, extended learning part or after school program. It's in collaboration with the community. Be a partner, be part of that solution, and be willing to listen to what's so. Take accountability for to what's really happening. It's not them.
Yeah,
Not it's them, not me. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
them, not me. But then you're in it. So how do you contribute to whatever's happening?
right.
How do you contribute to whatever's happening? Be honest. Be honest with, and be able to say, okay, let me take accountability for this, and be in action about it. And which is what you have demonstrated. I am
Yeah,
honored again. I hope everyone that has the opportunity to see us live or even on a recording to understand that this process that Yubleni just did with me live is an opportunity for you to see what a true leadership looks like. A leader with resilience, a leader with empathy, a leader with determination, that it's all about the calling, the why, the purpose. And it's our young people and the people that we serve, the families. Anything else you want to say before we close?
just thank you for allowing me this time, and just allowing me the time to take a moment to reflect, and to take the time to acknowledge and reflect. Thank you for helping me through that process too. I appreciate it.
You contribute a whole lot to me, I have to say. I've been, I'm a new woman because you confirmed a lot of the energy and the feelings that I was having myself. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you next week. Go to
A big
Boots.
hug. Big hug.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. And thank you for joining us once again.